When life brings you to your knees, it's easy to think this is the end of your story. But I've learned something. Sometimes, being on your knees is the perfect position to rise. I remember a time when the world felt so heavy on my shoulders, I didn't think I could take another step. Everything I had planned fell apart. The people I counted on disappeared. The dreams I thought were certain became blurry shadows. I wanted to stop. I wanted to hide. But something in me whispered, "Get up. Keep moving." You see, "I must keep going" is not just a phrase. It's a decision. Every day, we wake up with two choices: surrender to the weight, or lift our heads and move one more inch forward. That inch, that step, could be the very one that changes everything. When the path ahead is dark, that's when faith steps in. Faith in yourself. Faith in the work you've done. Faith that even if you can't see the finish line, there's something waiting for you that's worth every moment of struggle. The hardest moments in life have a strange way of shaping us. They sand us down, they scrape away what we thought we were, until only the strongest, truest parts remain. Pain can break you, or it can build you into someone you never imagined you could be. And while we push forward, we must remember to be grateful. Not just for the victories, but for the lessons, the growth, the tiny sparks of light that remind us we're still alive. Gratitude is the fuel that turns survival into strength. So when the road is long and the night is cold, and every part of you says, "Stop," I hope you'll hear a louder voice inside saying, "No, I must keep going." Because just ahead, beyond what you can see, is the life you've been working for, and it's waiting for the version of you who refused to quit. Look, I get it. Life is not always this pretty, picture-perfect, Instagram filter kind of thing we sometimes wish it was. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes, let's be honest, it's just plain unfair. You wake up with the best intentions, like, "Today's gonna be my day," and then life just says, "Yeah, about that," and throws you something you never saw coming. And here's the thing, nobody escapes it. We've all had those seasons where you feel like you're standing in the middle of a storm with no umbrella, and you're thinking, seriously? Can I just get a break? It could be heartbreak, losing a job, a dream falling apart, people letting you down. Sometimes it's not even one big thing. It's just this slow drip of little things, that pile up until you feel completely worn out. And when you're in that place, it's not just about the problem itself. It's about how heavy it makes you feel. You get tired. Not just, "I need a nap," tired, but soul tired. That kind of tired where even smiling feels like work. And you start to wonder if all the effort you've been putting in is even worth it. But here's what I want to say. It's okay to admit it's hard. It's okay to say, "I'm struggling right now." It's not weakness, it's truth. Because pretending everything's fine when it's not, that's what actually drains you more. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is just be honest, with yourself, with the people you trust, and say, "Yeah, this is tough. I'm not where I thought I'd be right now. And it hurts." That's where the real journey starts. Not by skipping over the pain, not by pretending it's not there, but by looking it straight in the face and saying, "All right, I see you, but you're not gonna stop me." So, let me tell you about this one time in my life when I thought, "Yep, this is it. I can't do this anymore." And you've probably had your own version of this story, but mine, well, it hit me hard. I was in this season where everything I had been working for, and I mean everything, seemed to just fall apart at the same time. You know that feeling when you're trying to hold your life together with duct tape, and every day, another piece just drops? That was me. I'd wake up, stare at the ceiling for way too long, and think, what's even the point today? I'd force myself to get up, put on the "I'm fine" face, and go about my day like I wasn't breaking inside. And the truth is, I was so close to quitting. Not just quitting one project or one goal, but like quitting on myself. One night, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting alone, lights off, just scrolling on my phone trying to distract myself. But every post, every picture, every smiling face I saw, it just made me feel worse. It was like the whole world was moving forward and I was stuck in this deep, muddy hole. And here's the thing. Nobody could see it. I was hiding it well. Then, and this is gonna sound small, but it wasn't, I got this random text from a friend. It wasn't anything huge. They just said, "Hey, you've been on my mind. You good?" And I don't know, it kind of shook me. Because in that moment, I realized I wasn't actually as invisible as I felt. Someone saw me. Someone cared. That tiny little spark. It didn't fix everything overnight, but it reminded me that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't done yet. I could take one more step. I could try again tomorrow. And then the next day. And the day after that. Looking back now, that was the turning point. Not because my circumstances magically got better. They didn't, not right away. But because I decided that even if I was crawling, I was still moving. I was still in the game. And that's what mattered. Here's the thing I've learned. And honestly, it took me a long time to really get this. Life doesn't always give us control over what happens. But we do get to choose how we respond. And yeah, I know, that sounds like one of those motivational posters you'd see in a waiting room somewhere. But it's real. Every single day, we're making choices. Some are tiny, like what to eat for breakfast. Others, they're big, like, am I gonna keep fighting for this? Am I gonna keep showing up, even when it feels pointless? And let me tell you, it's not always the flashy, dramatic decisions that shape your life. Sometimes it's those quiet choices, the ones nobody sees, that matter the most. You know, choosing to get out of bed when every cell in your body says, stay here. Choosing to make that phone call you've been avoiding. Choosing to believe that, yeah, maybe there's still a reason to try again today. What I love about this is, it means we're never completely powerless. You might not be able to change what happened yesterday, or even what's going to happen tomorrow. But right now, in this moment, you get to decide your next step. And that's huge. I think sometimes we wait for motivation to magically show up, like it's going to knock on the door and say, hey, I'm here. Let's go. But motivation's tricky. It's not always there when you need it. Choice, though. Choice is always there. Even when you feel empty, even when your heart's heavy, you can still choose. And the wild thing is, once you start making those small, I'm gonna keep going, choices, they add up. One day you look back and realize, you didn't just survive, you moved forward. You built something. You became someone stronger than the person who almost gave up. So yeah, the power of choice isn't just about what you decide today. It's about who you're becoming because of those decisions. And that's something no setback can take away from you. You know what's hard? Believing in something you can't see yet. I mean, let's be real. It's easy to have hope when everything's going right, when the doors are swinging open and people are cheering you on. But when it's just you, sitting there, wondering if anything you're doing is actually making a difference. Yeah, that's a whole different game. And here's the thing. Life doesn't hand out proof before it asks you to keep going. You don't get a sneak peek at how the story ends. You don't get a guarantee that all this effort is gonna pay off. All you get is this quiet, stubborn little voice inside that says, don't stop, keep believing. And let's be honest, sometimes that voice feels really faint. Like you're squinting through fog, trying to see just a couple steps ahead, and even those steps look shaky. That's where faith comes in. Faith isn't about pretending you're not scared or that you have it all figured out. No, it's about saying, yeah, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm choosing to trust that something good is still ahead. I remember someone telling me once, you can't always connect the dots looking forward, only looking back. And man, that stuck with me. Because when you're in the middle of the mess, it's impossible to see how any of it could possibly lead to something better. But then months, maybe years later, you look back and realize, oh, that's why I had to go through that. And you know what? That's the beauty of faith. It fills the gap between where you are and where you're meant to be. It gives you the courage to take one more step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. So maybe right now you're in that space. No clear answers, no obvious path. And it feels like you're walking blind. Just remember, it's not about seeing the whole picture today. It's about trusting that the picture is still being painted, and it's gonna be worth it. You know, pain has this way of making you feel small. Like it shrinks your world down to just that one hurt, that one disappointment, that one thing that didn't go the way you prayed it would. And when you're in it, it's so hard to imagine that anything good could come out of it. I've been there, sitting in the middle of my own mess, thinking, there's no way this is anything but a loss. And honestly, first I was right. It was a loss. It hurt. Took something from me. But over time, I realized something. Pain isn't just something that happens to us. It's something that can happen for us, if we let it. See, the thing about pain is, it teaches. It shapes. It forces you to look at yourself and your life in a way comfort never could. It's like the fire that burns away the stuff that's been holding you back. The fear, the pride, the need for control. And what's left is stronger, sharper, more real. And yeah, I know that sounds nice in theory. But when you're actually in it, it's brutal. It's the late nights when you can't sleep because your mind won't stop replaying what happened. It's the mornings you wake up and for a second you forget. Then it all comes flooding back. That's the hard part. But here's where the power comes in. Every time you choose to get back up after being knocked down, you're building something inside you that no one can take away. Your pain can make you bitter, or it can make you better. It can make you close off from the world, or it can open your eyes to the struggles of other people. Sometimes the very thing that broke you is the thing that gives you the strength and the compassion to help someone else. I think about it like this. Pain digs a hole in you. At first, it feels empty and awful, but if you let it, that hole can actually make more room. More room for strength, more room for wisdom, more room for love. That's how it becomes power. Not because it erases the hurt, but because it transforms it into something useful, something that fuels you instead of drains you. And when you start living from that place, when you take the worst thing that's happened to you and you use it to stand taller, speak louder, love deeper, you realize you're not the same person you were before the pain. You're stronger, and that's power. You know what I've noticed? Gratitude is kind of like this secret superpower that most of us forget we have. We think it's just about saying thank you when something nice happens. But it's so much bigger than that. Gratitude can actually change the way you see everything, even the hard stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I mean, when life is falling apart, the last thing you feel like doing is sitting there making a mental list of things you're grateful for. Trust me, I've had days when I didn't even want to hear the word gratitude. I'd be like, grateful? For what? But that's the funny thing. If you really stop and look, even in the middle of the mess, there's almost always something. Maybe it's the fact that you woke up this morning. Maybe it's that one friend who checks in on you. Maybe it's the cup of coffee that actually tastes amazing today. It doesn't have to be something huge. In fact, it's usually the small, quiet things that matter most. And here's where it gets wild. When you start focusing on what you do have, instead of only what you've lost, it shifts your whole energy. You start seeing opportunities instead of just obstacles. You start noticing little wins that keep you going. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain, but it gives you fuel to keep moving through it. It's kind of like, okay, imagine you're running on fumes, right? You've got nothing left in the tank. Gratitude is that little reserve you didn't even know was there. You tap into it, and suddenly you've got just enough to take another step, and then another. And I think part of why it works is because gratitude forces you into the present moment. It's hard to spiral about tomorrow or obsess over yesterday when you're sitting there, right now, feeling thankful for something that's here in front of you. The more you practice it, the more natural it gets. And one day you'll look back and realize, gratitude didn't just get you through the hard days, it made you stronger, softer, and somehow happier, even before everything got better. So here's what I want you to remember. No matter how messy it gets, no matter how many times you stumble, you are still in the story. And as long as you're in the story, you've got another chance to turn the page. Yeah, there'll be days when it feels like nothing's changing. Days when the progress is so slow, you start wondering if it's even worth it. But I promise you, every step counts. Every moment you choose to keep moving, even when it's hard, is a victory in itself. You've faced struggles that could have broken you, but you're still here. You've carried pain that could have made you bitter, but you've used it to grow. You've learned to find gratitude in the smallest things, and you've kept your eyes, even if just barely, on a vision that's bigger than where you are right now. That's strength. That's courage. And that's the reason you can look at yourself and say, I must keep going. Because somewhere up ahead, maybe closer than you think, is the moment where all of this starts to make sense. And when you get there, you're gonna be glad you didn't stop here. So take a breath, stand up, and keep going. Your future's waiting.